I continued to read this by the real GM. Ricky Rubio has suffered a torn ACL in his left knee and will miss the remainder of the season. Rubio previously tore his ACL in the same knee during his rookie season. So, he's actually had a long, industrious career, and he, had a career year with the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's a free agent next year. I think that this is unfortunate news, man. Like the Cavaliers were playing such great basketball. Again, I was one of those guys that I was not a big fan of this demigod lineup that they were going for, just because I didn't know how they would play. But it seems to me that it's been working for them. They're obviously in the top four. Actually, no, I think they're top seventh if I remember right. Like, let me look at this standings again. They are top five in the East. I mean, we can say whatever we want. We can poo-poo the line, but if we look at like the West versus the East, 20-14 is pretty damn impressive. And the fact that the Cleveland Cavaliers are winning by with a difference of plus 6.2, that's a huge thing. And we have to look at this team, man. Like, I think that this is going to be a hard pill to swallow for Cleveland Cavaliers players and also fans that you lost a guy in Ricky Rubio who, again, is not putting up like stats that are showing up in this like right hand side of the offensive tickers, of like field goal percentage, assists per game, points per game. Like his stats are not there. But if you look at kind of like what he does for this team, if we look at the stats for everybody, he's a guy that leads their team in steals at 1.4. He's a guy that, again, is not going to be someone who's scoring the ball a lot, but is going to give you like the next amount of assists. Because after that, if we look at the assist category, the next guy that's giving you assists is Evan Mobley at 2.4. Like that's a concern, especially when you have Colin Sexton, who's not doing too much of the assists himself. So he's got to step up in that category. Again, Kevin Love, playing in all these games, man, like he's having a resurgence year. And I think the Cleveland Cavaliers are one of those teams I think potentially could be buyers in this offseason. I think that they should go for it this year and try to make the playoffs. I think that they shouldn't be concerned with trying to now tank or say, you know what, maybe we should just change the way that our approach since we just lost Ricky Rubio. I think you just got to go for it and try to find somebody that'll help you out there. Kevin Pangos playing a lot of minutes for them. That's kind of like the backup point guard for them. Man, like I said, I am really been impressed with this Boston Celtics team. They are a team that does a lot of great things. You also got a guy in Cedi Osman who's having a career year from where he was a couple years back. I mean, like I said, I think a lot of people are like, who's the story of the year? Like, what team is leading the headlines with their way that they're playing? And I think it's honestly got to be the Cleveland Cavaliers out of all these teams. The Cleveland Cavaliers are a team, like we said, we didn't think of anything about them. We thought that they were going to be a team that struggled. They thought they were going to be a team that really wasn't going to be a team that was able to consistently win games. But if we look at their record or their roster or their schedule these last couple of days, it's been a lot of win streaks. I mean, they went on on a 6-game win streak before they lost to Boston. They had their Atlanta game postponed. But again, then went back to Toronto, beat them 144-99. I mean, this team is just showing you what it takes to like actually be a contending team and what it says about moving the ball and being a team that's able to pass the rock. I mean, again, we could look at the stats of this I would say Cleveland Cavaliers team, and we can look at kind of the scoring and I would say more so the shooting percentage. I think that's probably where we're going to look at. If I look at shooting percentages, I think they're in the top 10 at 46. I mean, that's pretty good for a team that's a top 5 in the Eastern Conference. Rebounding, I think they're one of the top teams, if I'm not mistaken. They're top 10 again. Like, they're just consistently in the top 10 of everything. I think Cleveland, maybe in the middle of the points per game, which, again, points don't really matter too much. And if we look at others, possessions per game, I think they're doing a lot with a little right now with those possessions. Assists per game, top 10 again. Like these teams continuously, like the Cleveland Cavaliers, man, like I gotta give them credit. Like as much as I've talked about, the I would say the Warriors and the Phoenix Suns and all this other stuff, you have to also tip your hat off to the Cleveland Cavaliers. We keep making fun of them. LeBron James won a championship there. They were never going to win without LeBron again, but they're starting to pick up the pieces again. They're starting to finally build the team and starting to think, okay, we're done with this whole tanking model because we know that this tanking model doesn't work. And they've definitely like grown and matured in that aspect, and that's what I love about about the Cleveland Cavaliers. I wish I could say the same about the Boston Celtics, but this is a team that I've been growingly impressed with. Again, I wasn't the biggest I didn't think Evan Mobley was going to be the best player in this draft. I really think it's going to be Cade Cunningham, but at the same time, man, it's tough to put Cade Cunningham up there when the Detroit Pistons are just not a team that's willing to not tank, and that's the biggest thing with them. I think that I think the Cleveland Cavaliers are one of those teams that did tank for a while, and that's why they got Evan Mobley. But I just think that Evan Mobley fits so well with this team. I think he's playing tremendously great basketball that you can see why the team decided to go with him instead of some of these other guys that we were looking at. And again, I think Evan Mobley has grown in so many ways and has shown that he is a guy that you can build your team around. Not maybe not number one, but definitely a piece around a championship winning team. And then we can look at scoring defense or shooting defense, opponent field goal percentage. Cleveland in the top. I mean, they're playing defense. They're doing a lot of things, and that's something that I think a lot of people don't really recognize. Losing Ricky Rubio is going to be a huge hindrance to this team, especially, when you look at this team and see that they're now missing a point guard. Like, if we look at their depth chart at the current moment, it's Kevin Pangos. It's Kevin Pangos, Isaac Okoro, Larry Markkanen, Evan Mobley. I mean, Larry Markkanen, I mean, again, we didn't really think too much about him, but, he's quietly been having, a solid year. Maybe not to, the extent where we're like, oh, well, this guy could be, a guy you build around. But this guy's definitely a solid role-playing piece that could definitely help you win a championship in the right circumstance. I think he does a lot of great things. Not saying he's, the end-all, be-all, but he is definitely showing you that he is improving in some aspects. I still think that he could do a lot better with his field goal percentages. I think they're still a little bit low, so he needs to be a little bit more of a consistent shooter. But I still think that they are, again, a team that could definitely do a lot of damage in this next year come round, especially moving into 2022 when we don't know what the rest of the league is going to look like, man. It is so up in the air when it comes to, I would say, at the current moment for basketball, especially with the way that the Celtics do. I keep bringing the Celtics up because, like I said, I am frustrated with the way that they play. But that, like I said, I'm not going to take away anything from the Cleveland Cavaliers, man. They are a team that's 13-7 in their conference, 3-1 in the division, 10-7 away, and also 10-7 at home. So they're doing their business. They're winning games consistently. Excuse me, at a rate that's awesome. I mean, if we look at their stats, I just think that this is a team that you like, and this is a team that you kind of want to say to yourself, dang, they're really good. And JB, I can't remember. I think it's JB Bickerstaff is the head coach for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Let me check who the head coach is. I think it's. Let's see what the depth chart says. Nope. But let me see here. I don't think they show their coaches. But anyway, to kind of continue on and talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers, this will kind of be the final topic for today, guys. I think that this is going to be one of the shorter streams. And we'll kind of hopefully get back on either tomorrow or the next day. But I like where the Cleveland Cavaliers are at this current moment. It sucks that Ricky Rubio had torn his ACL. I expected him to really uplift these guys, and he was a guy that I was looking at in 2022 that maybe the Celtics should look at getting. Defensively, I think he's a great off-ball guard, can steal the ball, played great on ball defense. And again, I think there's a lot of things to look at. I think there's a lot of people to kind of point the fingers at for the Celtics. But what can't be pointed at the Cleveland Cavaliers is a culture of losing, because they finally had a guy that they really like in Evan Mobley and Larry Markkinen and Jared Allen, and have finally built around those guys and said, hey, we're committing to you guys, so I need you guys to do your thing out there and become the players that I know you can be. But let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys make of the Cleveland Cavaliers? Are you a believer in the Cavaliers? Do you think that they can win and continue to maintain a 5th place finish for the Eastern Conference? Or do you think that they'll slip up a little bit and end up playing in the playing game? I'd love to know your guys' comments and opinions in the comment section down below. And as we kind of proceed to give you what